Christmas gift. He scored just 16 seconds into the game. The Hawks went on to thrash the Blues 5-2. However, the holiday season isn't over yet. The bright lights will glow tonight as two of the NHL's premier snipers will be trying to make the goal light twinkle. Blues sharpshooter Brett Hull brings his league-leading 34 goals, and Chicago Jeremy Roenick counters with 26 tallies of his own. Tonight, who's going to light it up the most? Brett Hull's Blues or Jeremy Roenick's Hawks? Live from the arena in St. Louis, Sports Channel presents the National Hockey League. The St. Louis Blues host the Chicago Blackhawks. Hello again, everybody. Pat Foley and Dale Talon from what will be a sold-out St. Louis arena.
2.39 goals against average and an excellent save percentage with 2 shutouts. 7 victories in his career against the St. Louis Blues. And Curtis Joseph, who's been brilliant for the Blues, was outstanding in a loss on Sunday at the stadium. He's 11-7-7 with a 2.84 goals against average.
The officials tonight, Ron Hogarth will be the referee, and the linesmen, a couple of linesmen getting very familiar with the Blackhawks, Jerry Pateman and Dan Shakti, both from the Midwest area. Actually, Pateman's from Windsor and Shakti from Wisconsin, so they have been involved in a lot of Chicago games.
And Ron Hogarth is a grandfather. Talking to him before the game, he can't believe he's a grandfather, but I certainly didn't have any trouble believing it.
All right, Brent Sutter and Adam Oates get ready to go, and this game is underway as the draw is shot down into the St. Louis zone, and Paul Cavallini gets back. Cavallini to Adam Oates, who rolled it to the Chicago line, taken by Chelios. Threw it to the left wing boards. Brent Sutter couldn't get to it. And now in the neutral zone, Oates feathers it ahead. Hull has a little room shooting, and he fired it up over the glass and into the crowd. Chelios may have gotten the stick there in time to deflect that up high, but if you're a Hawks fan, you hold your breath whenever number 16 in white has a little room to maneuver.
Well, you've got to be careful that when you do pinch that someone's got him covered, but I'm surprised to see the matchups because Gilbert Graham and Brent Sutter did such a great job against the Oates line in Chicago on Sunday and getting the last change. The home team gets a chance to look at the starting lineup before the game starts, and Ryan Sutter matched up that line against the line that was so successful in Chicago Stadium, so that would make it an easy task for the visiting coach.
Quick changes, though, after just 23 seconds go by as Roenick, Goulet, and Larmer hop over the boards, and Sutter answers with Basson, Richard Sutter, and Dave Christian. As the draw is shot back of the Hawk net, Kuchera is there. Around the boards to the far side, and Steve Smith returns it to Kuchera. Now he tries the left wing and Goulet, feeding Larmer to center. Steve Larmer dumps it into the St. Louis zone. Roenick gets there in the near corner. Trying to avoid a hit. Butcher got a piece of him, though, and knocked him down. And Garth Butcher tried to put him into next week. Roenick just stepped aside at the last second. Now Barron for St. Louis. Clearing it up the far side. Smith pinching to hold it in. Roenick goes charging in there. They wrestle along the boards, and they'll hold it long enough for a whistle.
12 goals in his last 12 games for Jeremy Roenick. Butcher missed Jeremy Roenick. He had him lined up. He thought he did anyway with the puck with Goulet along the boards.
So the faceoff will be to the left of Joseph. Mike Hudson, who has been coming on of late for the Hawks offensively. He'll go against the Oates line, and now Lowry's on the left side with Hull on the right. It's Hudson, Vincelette, and Noonan for Chicago. Mike Hudson has 6 points in his last 4 games. And a lift tonight for Chicago is number 4, is back in the lineup after missing a couple of games with a groin pull. Keith Brown, who is having another strong campaign, able to rejoin his teammates tonight.
29th game for Brown. He's missed 7 games off and on with the bad groin. Sutter having a bit of a grin on his face, obviously. Yeah, Rich Preston must have had something humorous to say from the press box with his headset. That doesn't surprise me.
I think that's why Darryl doesn't wear that thing very often. Here's Sutter in the far corner of the blue zone. Back to the line. Brown near point to Cam Russell. A long shot. Hit somebody in front. Rebound. Shot just wide on a backhand from Brent Sutter. Now Gilbert. Far point to Keith Brown. His long range shot. Tip. Deflected wide by Brent Sutter. Now Russell with a shot. That missed the net. And winds up carrying back into the Chicago zone. Keith Brown flips it up the boards and then came right back to him. Now he gave it to the Hawk captain Dirk Graham, who shoots it in there, and Chicago heads for a quick change. Jeff Brown of the Blues got it out to center. Now the Blues, Jeff Brown has it again and steps to the Hawk line. Unable to penetrate, he peels off at center, then gave it to Emerson coming on a change, and a good play by Conroy to tie him up. Now Chelios comes out of his own end. Clearing it into the St. Louis zone. There's going to be a penalty coming up. Vince Alette and Emerson got racked up along the boards, and there may be just one penalty here. Ron Hogarth ruling that Emerson interfered with Vince Alette, and the Hawks will get the game's first power play with just a couple of minutes gone and a scoreless first.
First penalty for slashing at 2:16, and the Blackhawks go to the power play. Power play that has really not worked well against the Blues. They're at 15%, 3 for 20.
And here's the draw. Roenick got it to the line. Chelios tees it up, shoots one. Joseph the save, gave a rebound to Chelios shooting. He fired it wide. Now Goulet on the near board. Into the corner. Roenick back to Chelios. Did well to keep it in and shoots one. And Joseph makes the save and gave no rebound that time as he pulled a Belfour-like move, just caressing that shot into his midsection.
Well, 3 attempts for Chelios, 2 of them hitting Joseph in the same area, and the best shot he took was the second chance he had on his own rebound along the ice, and he just shot it wide. He shoots it about 2 feet up in the air right into Joseph, who saw it all the way with Goulet trying to get in front, but Blues defense doing a good job of leaving the front open so that Joseph can see the long shot.
Again, they'll face off to the right of the Blues goal. Jeremy Roenick and Ron Sutter. And the face-off, back of the net. Goulet chopped it over to the far corner. Lowry and Smith collide there. And it came loose. Butcher lost it. Back of the net is Smith. Steve Smith walks to the near side, banks it to the line. Chelios got there to keep it in. Threw it to Larmer, but the pass bounced away from him out to center. Now Ron Sutter got turned around, and Goulet shot it back into the blue zone, but Paul Cavallini back with plenty of time. He takes a look and clears. .110 for the Hawk power play as Roenick got bumped along the boards by Rich Sutter, who jammed it loose. Here's a shot and a save by Belfour on a point-blank chance for the Blues shorthanded. Bob Basson tried to stuff it in, and Goulet the other way. Dumps it into the St. Louis zone. Joseph couldn't get it past Roenick. Now to the near board. Rich Sutter came up with it. He carries it out to center. Sutter takes a long shot, and Belfour gloves it easily to Smith. Now Chelios. Long pass to Hudson at center. He throws it in there. Joseph clears it to the near side, and it bounces around along the boards. Vince Alette lost it, and the Blues Christian clears it. And time for just one more rush on this Hawk power play. Here comes Brian Noonan to center ice. Sliding it into the blue zone. No Hawks within a mile of that one. Joseph hoisting it down easily. Now a giveaway to Oates. He steps over the line on Brown, trying to cut into his backhand, and Belfour just got a piece of that as the shifty Adam Oates got a good backhand chance. Now both teams are back at full strength as the Hawks dump it in. Norwood put it to the far side. Keith Brown held it into Vince Alette, and Oates or Brown. Jeff Brown knocked it away to Keith, who's unrelated. Got it to the near point. Kuchera's long shot deflecting wide. And Gino Cavallini, who had been scratched in the previous couple of Blues games, cleared it to the near side. Hawks hold it in there. Now Norwood for St. Louis. He gave it to Jeff Brown. Back to Norwood, nowhere to go with it. He gave it away. Here's Chelios, a long wrist shot deflecting just wide of the near post. And Norwood Brings it around the boards. Graham able to keep it in there, and the Hawk forechecking is getting off to a good start in this game. A couple of shifts already. They've hemmed the Blues in their own zone, and they continue to do it here. Now Cavallini able to chop it free back to the Hawk end, and Steve Conroy hustles back for it. Put it to the far side. Graham kicked it to Brent Sutter. His pass broken up by young Murray Barron, former North Dakota Fighting Sioux. He got it over the Hawk line. Here's Oates trying to cut in. Chelios cut him off and took it away beautifully. Then Kuchera took a hit but rolled it loose to center ice. And Lemieux feeds Chelios. He steps over the Blues line. In traffic, he had it knocked away. Hull trying to counter it. Kuchera covered up nicely for Chelios there. Now Hawks Chelios flips it to the St. Louis end. Garth Butcher to the left wing boards, and Barron cleared it ahead, and Mongeau had one hand on his stick and he couldn't hold the pass. Now he got tangled with Belfour in the corner, but the Hawk netminder flipped it to center. Now Grimson in a scrap. Stu Grimson drops the gloves with Kelly Chase in the corner, and they hammer away on the near side, and Chase and Grimson just muscling Chase to the corner boards. Trying to get the right hand loose. Neither man able to land anything here. Chase got in a left, and Grimson answers with a couple of big rights and another one. And Chase is looking for the linesman. And Grimson having an edge so far in this bout. The linesmen haven't figured that they've tired themselves out yet. And now Grimson trying to get the helmet off of Chase. Chase answered with a right, and Grimson got in a left or two, and now down they go finally. No score early from the arena in St. Louis.
Well, Pat Foley brings some of his family up for the game tonight.
Hey.
You go all out for that Christmas present.
Little styrofoam, I'm a big hit.
Meanwhile, Grimson and Chase will get offsetting majors. Roy Grimson really giving it to Chase. Big edge in that altercation, and Chase eventually put Grimson to the ice, and that brought a roar from the crowd. It's not whether you win the fight, I guess, it's whether you get the takedown. Grimson has really been marvelous in his self-control this year, and drawing a lot of penalties against him. Chase comes in and gets the elbow up on Grimson, and they both drop their gloves and go at it in the corner to the left of Belfour, and a good job by Grimson against Chase.
Brent Sutter against younger brother Ronnie for a draw at center ice.
We've got Emerson on the right side. Emerson has been a centerman most of his early career.
And the Hawks trying to get more speed on the ice. Immediately change after the draw as Hudson and Lemieux get out there. Now it's deep in the Blues zone, and Ron Sutter sends Barron to center. Now Emerson pushing it into the Chicago zone. Belfour to the corner. Cleared it to the near side. He didn't get it out. Now a chance for Emerson. He shot it off the side of the net with a turnaround effort. And the Hawks will take an icing call here as Belfour twice tonight has come to this near corner and gotten wedged in there by some players and had difficulty getting back into the net. And I'm sure the Blues, after watching Belfour handle it so well on Sunday night, are trying to limit his ability to do that.
Well, the puck gets to you a lot sooner in the Chicago Stadium, and it takes a while for Belfour's got to go a lot longer or further to get it. And twice now he's gone to that corner, and they've been putting some traffic in there, and it resulted in a turnover and almost an empty net opportunity for Emerson, who just shot and hit this the skater Ron Sutter in front of the net. But Emerson pushed Smith into Belfour, and Belfour hustled back. The shot would have gone wide, but it almost carried him in off the skater Ron Sutter.
Kuchera wound up playing goal in that situation. Nelson Emerson had a great year last year in the minor leagues, leading the Peoria squad. I think he had 115 points. And a good collegiate career at Bowling Green. Now everybody to the near side where Steve Conroy has room to center. Chipping it into the St. Louis zone. Taken by Barron. Barron, oh, he tried to make a back pass to his defense partner Butcher, and that went over his stick, and Curtis Joseph had to make a save on his own defenseman. Now Larmer gave it away. Here's a centering pass. Emerson didn't have his stick on the ice as Shanahan tried to set him up. And Conroy looks to clear. He can't get it out. Hawks scrambling in their own end here. Conroy getting turned around along the boards. And they battle away. Now Chelios came up with it. He got a rough ride from Emerson. They both hit the deck. In behind the net goes Shanahan against Goulet. Now Emerson wrestled it loose, but Conroy in good position to steal it. And the Hawks finally get it back into the Blues zone.
Well, Barron turns it over at his end. And then the Blackhawks do it a couple of times on their shift.
Now it's dumped into the Hawk end. Gilbert couldn't get it past Oates. Now Russell able to flip it to the Blues end. And Rick Zombo, the Chicago area native, gets back for St. Louis. He got a rough ride from Gilbert, who steals. Gilbert back of the net for Graham, threw it in front, Brown, a drive. And that hits somebody. Brent Sutter picks it up on the far side to Gilbert back of the net. Couple of wide open Hawks here. Gilbert to the near corner. Graham trying for the give and go. It wasn't there. And Brent Sutter on the far side. Threw it up the boards, and it bounces behind the net. Graham is there, moving in front, centered, and Sutter. His shot is blocked in traffic. Joseph never knew where that puck was coming from, but he got a break as it never got to him. And the Hawks keep the heat on in the Blues zone. Graham trying to jam it loose now. He and Paul Cavallini get the sticks working. And the linesmen are there very quickly, and no further developments here. But there will be a penalty from Ron Hogarth. We have 11 minutes to go in the first.
Checking work, setting up Sutter, and his shot deflected just wide of Joseph, who never saw it. Meanwhile, the Blues will go to the power play because Graham is sent off at 8:48. 31 power play goals this year for the Blues. And against the Blackhawks, they have not been prolific with their power play. They're 2 for 13.
Brett Hull and Jeremy Roenick are tied for the league lead with 10 power play goals each. It's in the Hawk zone, and Larmer with a nice steal in traffic. Got it to Roenick, but the return pass is picked off. And Jeff Brown gave it away. Chelios, great read, steps over the line, tees it up, shooting, and he shot it wide. And boy, Oates went down to block it, and that puck sailed right by his face as he overslid. Now it's dumped back of the Blues net. Adam Oates is there. He cleared it to center. Michel Mongeau chipped it ahead for Hull. Great pass. He shoots. Belfour makes the save, and then out of midair, Gilbert picked it off and cleared it down the length of the ice. What a pass from Mongeau to bring Hull. Now Mongeau cleared it to the neutral zone, and it's knocked free to the Hawk end. Gilbert is back. Circling the net. He got pulled down. Gets back up, though, and he's able to clear it down all the way. 45 seconds for the Blues power play. We're halfway through a scoreless first period. Nelson Emerson now starting the Blues ahead. Got it to Oates. Clearing it over the Hawk line, and Ron Sutter ran right into linesman Jerry Pateman, and the play winds up being offside anyway.
Belfour and Joseph both busy in the first half of the first period, making some key saves. Best save of the night for Belfour. Great feed from Mongeau. Nice touch pass over the outstretched stick of one defender, flat right under the stick of Hull, and Hull just ripped it, but Belfour got a piece of it with the left arm, and it just deflected up and wide of the net in the near side.
The 211th shot on goal this year for Brett Hull, who leads the league with that number.
The average is 6 a game, but against the Blackhawks, he's been averaging only 2 a game.
Now the draw shot back into the St. Louis end. Lee Norwood back for the Blues. Norwood in his second stint here in St. Louis enjoyed a lot of success when Jacques Demers was here. Norwood got it to Emerson over the line. His pass to the deep slot winds up offside.
Keith Brown with a good poke check, standing up at the line. He's got enough of it. Nelson Emerson, 4th on the rookie scoring list this year. Not getting a lot of mention, but Emerson last year was the Rookie of the Year in the International Hockey League. And he's the CCHA all-time leading scorer. Last year he had 79 assists with Peoria. He was a 3rd-round pick in '85. Played collegiate hockey at Bowling Green.
One of the more famous alums of Bowling Green, but there is another hockey person that's been just as influential in the NHL as Nelson Emerson. Our lovely producer-director, Lisa Seltzer, a former Falcon.
Pardon? How many goals did she score?
Now it's in the blue zone. Here's a centering pass. Larmer! He shot it inches wide. It got a piece of the post. But the Hawks just barely missed getting the lead. And now both teams are back at full strength as it's cleared into the Hawk zone. Here's Goulet. He races over the line. He cuts for the net. Trying to feed Roenick. However, the play was ruled to be offside. And the clock continues to run. And now they stop it with 9 minutes left. No.
I thought it scored. Jeremy Roenick with good hustle gets it out front. Larmer buries it, and it hits the face mask and the crossbar and deflects wide. So Steve Larmer getting a tough break there on a great feed from Jeremy Roenick as the Blues power play was coming to an end.
Garth Butcher, right wing to Richard Sutter. Beating Basson. Stepping over the Hawk line. He lost the handle, and Goulet the other way. Butcher took him off the puck, but Larmer carries on 2-on-1. 3-on-2 now. Larmer shooting. He scores! Steve Larmer took a look and found that his best option was to shoot it, and he blew it by the gloved hand of Curtis Joseph to the short side. 1-0 in favor of the Hawks.
Well, Larmer had a 3-on-1 situation. Goulet with a great break, and the clock continues to tick away. They're having some difficulty here. But meanwhile, Goulet stood up by Butcher. The puck squirts loose. Butcher didn't realize it was an odd man break, but Conroy catches up. Larmer picks it up. He has a man to drop it to, but the defenseman backs off, and he just blistered it past Joseph on the short side, beating him to the glove side. So Goulet took the hit to make the play, and it resulted in an odd man break because Conroy caught up with the play, and Larmer gets his 17th of the year and 38th career goal against the Blues.
This is the 78th game Larmer's played against St. Louis. 38 goals now, 92 points in his career against the Blues. Goulet given the only assist from to Larmer at the 11:30 mark. And here's a Graham steal, trying to feed Gilbert. Didn't quite get there. Jeff Brown gets it back. And again, the Blues defense having a difficult time here in the first period in their own end. Oates wrapped up on the boards, failed to clear it. Here's Gilbert to the slot. Can't pull the trigger now. A backhander is blocked. Bouncing to the near point. Gutierrez long shot right on. Joseph the save, trying to gather it in. Where's the puck? Big scramble, and finally the whistle sounds with players crashing toward the front of the net. 8 minutes remaining in the first period. A good start for the visitors. It's 1-0 Chicago. To the right of Curtis Joseph. Here's the draw. Quick shot by Brent Sutter is blocked at the Blues defense, and Dave Lowry cleared it to the near side. Brett Hull pushed it to center. Hawks dump it right back in. Hull has it again. Gave it to Zombo. Rick Zombo dumping it into the Chicago zone. Here to the near side. Zombo trying to center one, deflecting into the corner. Brent Sutter against Oates there. They wrestle along the boards. Lowry trying to jam it out, failed to do it, and now Steve Smith controls for Chicago and makes the safe play, clearing it back into the St. Louis zone. Zombo nearly lost it, then got it to Cavallini, who did a nice job to pick it out of midair, feeding Hull. Hull over the line, stick handle around Brown, cuts in. Russell recovered along with Vince Gillette very nicely to prevent a shot as Brett Hull now digs it out of the corner, shooting. That blocked rebound to Oates. Knocked off the puck. Vince Gillette one man back is Brown. And now behind the play, we had some scuffling going on, and it looks like the Blackhawks are going to get a penalty here. And St. Louis heads to the power play. It's Chicago 1 and St. Louis nothing.
Blackhawks and the Blues are making this an annual event, December 26th, the day after Christmas, and the Blues have had an edge in the games played. 5-3-1 and undefeated in their last 4, the Blues are. So the Blues trailing 1-0 now get a chance so to tie the game up on the power play. Their second of the period. Keith Brown caught for a holding Brett Hull as the play was into the neutral zone. He got caught behind the play, and Blackhawks were successful in killing off the first Blues power play.
Now Jeff Brown works his way to center ice, gets it over the Hawk line. Chelios taking it away in the corner. Took a bump. It's dug out of there to the line. Norwood with a long shot. Belfour the save. The rebound trickling in the goal crease. Just wide. There's going to be another Hawk penalty. Here's Norwood at the line. His long centering pass to Shanahan. Put it in front. And Belfour picks it off. But now a 2-man advantage for the Blues for a minute and a half.
Well, a second bad call in a row. The first one on Brown was a really chintzy call. And this one, Chelios falling to the ice in desperation to try and prevent an open net opportunity. On the screen shot, Belfour makes the save. The rebound attempt for Sutter. He goes down, and a late penalty called by Hogarth. And so a 2-man advantage. This will be the 26th time that the Blackhawks will have been 2 men short in a hockey game.
There have probably been teams that go through 2 seasons without being short 26 times, being short 2 men 26 times. The Hawks have done it 26 times. As their 37th game of the year. Well, the Hawks continue the pattern. They lead the league in power play chances for, and they lead the league in shorthanded situations against. And a big opportunity here for St. Louis. The Hawks have had a good edge in play, but only have a 1-0 lead, and now a 2-man advantage for a minute and a half for St. Louis. Sutter, Brent Sutter with Smith and Roenick for Chicago. Hall, Oates, and Mongeau with Shanahan and Jeff Brown for St. Louis. Here's the draw to Brett Hull. Put it to the far point, Brown. Jeff Brown, near point to Oates. Gave it back to Brown, side of the net. Shanahan centered it, and Mongeau couldn't kick it to the stick. Now Mongeau, the near corner. To the line, Oates. Back to Mongeau, centered. Hollow blast, right on Belfour. Moved to his right just enough to gather it in. The Blues moved that puck nicely that time.
Well, they should be able to get a few scoring chances when you've got a 2-man advantage with all the quality people they do have on the ice. Oates, the quarterback, on the point with Brown. Over to Mongeau, who's an excellent passer. Nice touch pass right to Hull, and he just let it rip on the fly. Didn't look. He just muscled it towards the net. Belfour, good movement from post to the middle of the net, and got his body in front of it, and that has to hurt. It takes a lot of nerve to try and do that.
67 seconds for the 2-man advantage. Face off to the left of Belfour. Here's the draw to Larmer. Couldn't get it out. Hull at the line. Now leaves it for Oates. Far side to Brown. Back to Oates. Top of the ring. Side of the net. Mongeau centered. Smith picked it off. Then Hull able to keep it in. Side of the net. Mongeau. Top of the ring to Oates. Far side. Brown. A drive. Belfour. Rebound. Belfour again. And then Hull shot the third chance wide. Now Hull. Or Oates rather to Brown. Side of the net. Shanahan takes a look. Picks his way in front to Oates. Centered to Mongeau, put it in front. Back to Oates, he centered it. It didn't get there. Back to the far point, the Blues keep it in. Now Oates near circle to Mongeau. Back to Oates at the top of the ring. Deep slot Brown to Shanahan looking for Hull. Didn't connect. Now Oates a drive and a save by Belfour. And he hangs on.
Well, what a performance by Belfour and Steve Smith in front of the net. Smith breaking up every potential pass. They're trying to get a quick pass to the side and one across the front for an easy empty netter, but Smith won't let him do it. He's forcing him to retreat, go back to the point. Meanwhile, you want to force Oates to shoot. He doesn't have the best shot between Brown and Hull. The pass was intended for Hull. It went to Oates, and Oates let it go. Oates will look to pass more than shoot, but Belfour and Smith terrific in front of the net. Belfour making 4 quality saves so far, with still 20 seconds to go on the first penalty. The Blues trying to be a little bit too cute.
And again, the Hawks employing that defense has become more popular late in the last couple of years when you have only 3 skaters. It used to be just 1 forward and 2 defensemen. The Hawks do it in the reverse with 2 forwards out there and 1 defenseman. And boy, did you ever say it. Has Smith ever been a tower of strength right here?
It used to be you had the triangle, had the 2 guys back and the 1 guy up, but now that everyone seems to reverse it. I like it better because there's more room up higher to let the shot go. And obviously the 1 guy in front's got a lot more work to do, but if he stays in front and does the job that Smith has done so far.
Now the Blues with Oates at the near point, deep slot to Brown. He takes a look, then centered it. Mongeau tipped it right on, and it's in the mid of Belfour, and he hangs on.
That Belfour again with a great save. Brown's got a great shot. That time he looked to pass the whole time, looking for a deflection instead of cranking it up. He was right between the rings, about 10 feet this side of the hash marks, and he tried to slip it over to Mongeau for a deflection. But Mongeau was in too tight because Belfour came out and had it deflect right into him.
Now just 5 seconds left on the first Hawk penalty, 38 on the second. And again there to the left of Belfour. There's the draw. Hull held it in. The Brown top of the ring, near circle to Oates. Side of the net, Mongeau center. Belfour blocked the pass to Hull. He tried to stop it and couldn't. Rebound. Toe save by Belfour. The first Hawk penalty is over. It comes to the near board. Oates is there. Deep slot to Brown. Faking, centered. Shanahan hit the side of the net. Rebound off the goal post. Shanahan fired at Belfour and hit the near post. And now the Hawks able to clear it. And what a job by Ed Belfour facing a 2-man Blues power play. He holds them off, and now both teams are back at full strength. And the Hawks still maintain a 1-0 lead. It's back at Chicago ice. Not for long, though. Kuchera able to clear it to center. Here comes Graham up right wing. Around Cavallini, left it for Roenick. He got around a check, cuts in there, shoots, and a save rebound, Graham! And the goal knocked off the moorings as Joseph was knocked back into his own net. And an exciting ending to the first period. Still 4 minutes left. 1-0 Hawks.
1-0 deficit. They've had a 2-man advantage for a minute and a half, and Ed Belfour is brilliant. He stops Mongeau, then stops Hull, and then stops Oates, and then stops Mongeau again. All with the left leg fully extended up against the post. Shanahan then beat Belfour and hit the post on the near side, hit the post and stayed right on the goal line and came back out. And the Blackhawks narrowly escaped the tying goal because Belfour was brilliant in a 2-man disadvantage.
So we're back at full and equal strength now. A draw to the right of Curtis Joseph. And the face-off comes to Noonan, whose shot is blocked. Rick Zombo trying to clear it. He hit Roenick right in the head with that, knocking his helmet off. The puck caromed up into the seats, but no damage done on the Hawk star.
Well, these guys have had a few days off. They played Sunday and had an optional practice. The Blackhawks did Monday morning. And then the league rules don't allow you to practice, so they had to come in early today and had a pregame skate this morning to shake off a little bit of that turkey. But you'd never know if these two teams really going at it. And it's a great first period for the Blackhawks, except for that 2-man advantage. They've dominated the Blues.
Yeah, we see that so often. If there's a break in the schedule and a team has a couple of days off, it happens sometimes the All-Star break. Often you see great hockey coming right out of this long, grinding 80-game schedule. A day or two off could do wonders for the body and the mind.
Mostly the mind. I think people get rejuvenated.
Here's Zombo at the near point. Deep slot to Cavallini, shooting. Belfour gave a rebound, and Kuchera whacked it out of the slot. Into the corner, Bassett took a hit from Roenick. Then Rich Sutter dug it out, but Smith gave him a rough ride. Basson got to it again. Put it to the line. Paul Cavallini's long shot is blocked. Then it came back to him. He sent it. Christian, a shot. Rolled off the end of his stick. In behind the net, Christian. Took a hit from Roenick. And they wrestle on the inboards. Chopped loose to Basson. And Smith took him off the puck. And Roenick will accept an icing call here as he just whips it down into the blue zone. And boy, these teams have really taken turns hemming the opponent in the defensive zone.
Well, the Blues building some momentum after a two-man advantage. They did get some chances. Prior to that, it was all Blackhawks with their forechecking, and now the Blues, the last couple of shifts, trying to take advantage of the fact that the Blackhawks used some of their premier players to kill off that two-man advantage. And that last shift, Roenick was exhausted. Finally, he got to a loose puck and just iced it.
Well, the face-off to the right of Ed Belfour. Hudson and Ron Sutter. And here's the draw taken by Steve Conroy. And right off the face-off, Lemieux and one of the Blues got the sticks working a bit. Might have been Emerson, and looks like we're going to have a penalty or two coming up here. They're both going to go off. I'm very interested, Dale, to notice that, remember the last time or earlier in this period when the Blues had this line on with Ron Sutter and Emerson, some speed guys with Shanahan. The Hawks had another line out. Then they made a quick change, Chicago did, putting the Hudson line out. Now Keenan throws Hudson's line out, and Sutter does what Keenan wanted him to do, or at least earlier in the period. He puts the same matchup out.
Emerson, St. Louis, 2-minute slashing at 17-18.
Now, meanwhile, Lemieux and Emerson will get offsetting minor penalties at 17-18 of the first period. Well, the most amazing matchup has been Sutter, Gilbert, and Graham against Oates and Hull. And Lowry's been playing the left wing. Cavallini usually plays that left wing, but he's been sitting in the seats the last few games. That line, the Blackhawks line, dominated the Oates line in Chicago Stadium, and tonight the same story. They've done the same thing.
Well, a face-off at the top of the near circle in the Hog zone. Here's the draw taken by Steve Conroy, clearing it out to center. Ron Sutter to Brendan Shanahan. Now Jeff Brown. Put it behind Hull. Chelios got it loose to Graham, cutting into Gilbert, shooting. And the puck was on edge. He shot it up high. It's held in by Brent Sutter with a long shot that's blocked. Then he tripped Norwood. He's going to get a penalty. The Blues have a 2-on-1 anyway. Hull over the line, cutting in around a check. Try to stuff it and mishandled it. And now the Hawks control, and the Blues are going to go back to the power play.
Well, Sutter and Graham feed Gilbert. Gilbert tries to go high. The puck was on edge. He shot over the net. It came back to Sutter. He tried to shoot it. It was blocked. And in the process, he pulled down the Blues player, and that enabled Hull to break out on a 2-on-1. He gets around the one defenseman, but can't get the shot away from a near impossible angle, and the Blackhawks once again shorthanded, and the Blues will have their fourth straight power play of the period.
2 minutes, tripping.
A tripping call on Sutter. That definitely was a penalty, but the last couple of calls were questionable.
Well, Dale, this could be huge. If the Hawks can get through this period, facing as much shorthanded time as they have, and still have a lead, that'll be a major boost for them after 20 minutes of play.
Ed Belfour brilliant in the last power play. The Blues had a 2-man advantage. They had half a dozen quality chances from point-blank range, and he did get help from his friend the goalpost on their last scoring chance of that power play. 17-8 the shots on goal. Most of those shots came, as we say, when the Blues had a 2-man advantage for well over a minute and a half.
Face off to the right of the Hawk goal. Here's the draw. Taken by Steve Smith around the boards and out.
Good job winning the faceoff. Diagram it perfectly. It's an automatic play. Smith picked it up and fired it around the far side.
Blues with an errant pass. Smith deep in his own end. Tipped it to the far side, held into the near side, and Oates. He cuts in there, centered it, bouncing puck. Mongeau, a backhander. Belfour the save, rebound. Belfour the save again. The rebound now. Chelios got hit with a high stick. That's going to be a penalty. Might be a major. The initial save by Belfour, and the rebound came up into the air, and I think it was Mongeau that took a whack at the puck high in the air, missing it and hitting Chelios right in the face.
Well, the Blues are arguing that the puck hit Chelios, but I think it was Mongeau that, with the puck up in the air, the backhand attempt, and then the shot by Shanahan up in the air off Belfour, up towards the face of Chelios, and it's either, I think the puck hit him, because Mongeau swatted at the puck and it hit Chelios right in the face. But Mongeau on the backhand, then gets his own rebound. Belfour makes 2 saves on him, and then Chelios pays the price as Mongeau swatted the puck right into his face.
And that's the way Ron Hogarth saw it too. There's not going to be a penalty here.
Well, there shouldn't be. It was the puck that clearly hit him. It wasn't the stick at all.
Oh, that's absolutely right. But on first glance, depending on the angle Hogarth had, the stick was right there. He could have easily interpreted that the stick hit him in the face, but in fact it did not, and the proper non-call was made. Now the Blues dump it in. Belfour going to try to clear it himself, hit his own man. Kuchera, and it almost went into the net.
Well, Belfour hesitated, and Kuchera wasn't sure what to do. Either stand there or go get the puck. And Belfour hit him in the back, and it almost went into the net. You're going to do it quickly. Don't hesitate. And he hesitated, and Kuchera didn't know where to go, and it hit him in the side and almost went into the net.
Face off to the left of Belfour. Minute and a half left in the period. 1-0 in favor of the Hawks, who have faced an almost relentless Blues power play. The last half of this period has been virtually spent almost the entire time on the Blues power players. Cavallini long shot is stopped. Rebound Hull. Rolled a backhander wide. In behind Oates. Looking for Hull. It didn't connect. Shanahan in the far corner has it. Out to the line. Oates at the near point. Up the boards for Mongeau. Back to Oates. Gave it back to Mongeau. They play catch. Now Oates a long shot. Belfour the save to Graham, and he clears it down all the way.
He's the guy you want to shoot the puck. Give Oates a little more room, because if you pay attention to him, he'll slip it over to somebody that can really shoot, like Hull or Brown or Shanahan.
Adam Oates puts Brett Hull over the line. He leaves it for Paul Cavallini. Chipped it into the slot. Oates centered it. Bouncing puck over the stick of Shanahan. Back to the line. Paul Cavallini faking to Shanahan. He didn't find the handle on it. Now in the far corner, Shanahan put it in front. Hull kicked it right into the goal crease, and Belfour smothers it there with half a minute to go.
With all the quality chances the Blues have had, if that had gone in, that would have been frustrating, because it was a bit of a fluke. It just hit the skate of Hull. He wasn't quite sure where it was, and then he couldn't locate it after it did hit him and almost trickle in off Belfour. Shanahan took his eye off the puck. The puck got by him. Hull took the hit from Smith, went back in front. The pass from Shanahan hit him in the skate and went right to Belfour. 21 shots on goal here by the Blues. Only 8 for the Blackhawks, but at even strength, it's been all Blackhawks. All these shots have been coming with the power play action that the Blues have had in the second half of the period. 4 straight power plays since the 8:48 mark of the first period.
Now Hudson and Belfour conferring before this face-off. Hawks are very busy after a short Christmas break. This game tonight starts a string of 7 games in 11 days. Tomorrow night in Chicago Stadium against the Winnipeg Jets, who have been struggling of late but still having a very good year. Now the draw taken by Hudson. Clearing to center and Larmer. Smith trying to catch the play. Larmer weaving over the line, putting it to Smith. He overskated it. Now the Blues have a 3-on-1 the other way. Here's Oates in over the line. He tries to get it to Ron Sutter, and a pass hit a skate and winds up over the glass into the crowd as the Hawk penalty expires. Both teams back at full strength, and a big bullet dodge there by Chicago.
Well, that was a play that Larmer, I think if he had another chance at it, would have put it in deep in the corner. Steve Smith catching up with the play, but Smith has logged a lot of ice time in this first period, killing penalties, and Blackhawks just would have been happy to get it into their own zone, the Blues zone, and kill off the remaining seconds. But as a result, fortunately for Larmer and the Blackhawks, the Blues player that picked it off fell down. So that enabled everybody to hustle back and deflect the intended pass.
So now 8 seconds left in the period. The draw will be to the right of Belfour. Oates and Brent Sutter ready. And the draw's won by Sutter behind the net to Graham. Kurt Graham will run out the remaining time as the horn sounds and the first period comes to an end. And what a job by that fella, Ed Belfour, facing 21 shots and stopping them all. The Blackhawks got the only goal of the period. Steve Larmer's 17th of the season from Michel Goulet. Larmer with a terrific shot right into the very top corner on the short side.
So Brett, and a lot of people were wondering what was wrong with Brett Hull, and maybe the Canada Cup had a negative effect on you.
Well, there's no question. I think not so much the Canada Cup, but the fact that I was away from the team, and you know, even the team, the coach wasn't around. Brendan Shanahan wasn't in camp. Dave Christian, myself, and it just there was a lot of guys out there, and it didn't really seem like the season was ready to start when I got here, and it just took a little while to get going.
Brett, got a lot of people tugging at you now, a lot of endorsement opportunities, a lot of distractions. Has it been difficult for you to set them apart?
Well, I don't think so. I think a lot of them get done in the summer, and it kind of takes away from the golfing I like to do. But other than that, it's not too hard to stay focused during the year. But like I said, it's the mental part, and the Canada Cup kind of took away from the mental relaxation more than anything.
Brett, you and Adam Oates have really hit it off. What is, on and off the ice, you two guys are almost inseparable. What is it about you two?
Well, I don't know what it is. It's just from the moment we met, we became very good friends. We have the same likes and personalities, and I think that's got a lot to do with what happens on the ice, because when you're that close, you kind of get a feeling for each other, and with the talent he has of passing the puck, it you know, it just makes it easy for me. All I have to do is get open.
Brett, do you find sometimes you have to pinch yourself with the numbers that you're putting up? They're unbelievable numbers.
Well,
last year and the last two seasons, and again this year, and everybody knows that you stop Brett Hull, you pretty well stop the Blues, yet you're still putting up unbelievable numbers.
Well, that is something. You know, I wake up every day scared to death I'll never score again. But when you get to play with quality people and have a quality coach and coaching staff, it makes it a lot easier for me. And you're right, I do wake up and say, hey, you know, it's hard to believe that this is happening, but you know, don't stop it now.
You've also made a good friendship with Jeremy Roenick. You seem to be really good pals. How'd that come about?
Well, I tell you, I met Jeremy a while ago, and he was just a tremendous guy, and he's such a talented player, and he does so many good things. And off the ice, he's you know, he's twice the guy he is on the ice. So we hit it off very good. He's got a beautiful fiance and a beautiful family that I met, and I just wish him all the success.
Brett, the Blackhawks have pretty well done, shut you down in the 4 previous games, only 8 shots on goal. What seems to be their success? Well,
I don't think it's just me. I think they do that against every team. They're very solid away from the puck, very solid in their own end, and they've got a tremendous checking line with Brent Sutter, Dirk Graham, and Greg Gilbert. So I don't think it's just me they shut down. I think they shut down the whole league, and you just got to hope for the 1-2 chances and bury one if you get. And you know, I've had a couple in the first, and they just didn't go in.
Well, Brett, continued good success, and thanks for all the wonderful moments you've given us on the ice.
Thank you, Dale.
Good play. All right, Brett Hull, our guest. Stay tuned. We'll be back with more after these messages.
About having a lead after the Blues had so many golden opportunities to tie the game up. The Blues have had a similar plight as the Hawks in divisional play. The Blues are 2 games under 500 in the North Division. The Hawks are 1. Chicago 4-5-4 in divisional play. All right, ready to go for the second period. Here's the draw, controlled by the Blues and Garth Butcher. Flipped it ahead. The Hawks dump it back into St. Louis ice. And Murray Barron took a hit from Graham. Puck loose into the corner, and now Graham was shaken up, I think, after the fact. He may have gone awkwardly into the boards, and Ron Hogarth is over to have a look. He sensed danger there immediately.
The puck flutters into the corner, and Dirk Graham initiated the contact and then just fell awkwardly to the ice as he and Barron tried to get to a loose puck. But Graham initiates the hit and just falls awkwardly up against the boards, and then goes crashing head first into the ice, and might have hit his mouth on the ice. But obviously no penalty situation.
I want to welcome our Sports Channel viewers in Chicago, just coming off that Bulls victory, 122-111. The Bulls beat the Hawks. And now you've got the Blackhawks with a 1-0 lead over the St. Louis Blues. A quick update: 4 straight power plays for the Blues in the second half of the first period, allowing St. Louis to dominate the offensive, or at least the shooting stats. But Ed Belfour, spectacular in first period play, making 21 saves. And Steve Larmer getting a nice feed from Michel Goulet at center ice. Larmer snapped in his 17th of the year with a terrific shot to the short side, right in the top corner, over the glove of Curtis Joseph. And it's a 1-0 Hawk lead as we've just gotten underway in the second period. And an icing call here against St. Louis.
And again, the Blues liking the matchup that with Sutter and Graham and Gilbert against their top line. Graham missing the tail end of this shift with the injury. Lemieux comes on and takes his place on the right side. Gilbert stays out there with Sutter, and Sutter trying to tell Lemieux where to go here on this faceoff. Remember, I asked Makita one time where he wanted me on the faceoff, and he said on the bench.
I remember the other story about Billy Ray when you were in the Boston Garden.
That's a true story too. We were playing the Bruins in the playoffs. He called me over. He says, when you lose the face-off to Esposito, make sure you stay with him.
Al Lemieux, nice pass to Gilbert. Couldn't find an alley to shoot it as Barron went down. Then Gilbert sent to Lemieux. A shot is blocked at the defense. Here's Chelios in the near corner. Back of the net for Brent Sutter, to side of the goal for Gilbert, whose shot is deflected. And Adam Oates clears it to the center ice area, and it came back in there offside. Oh, and they're going to rule an intentional offside against Chicago.
Oh, that's a little nitpicking right there. That is, I mean, puck was almost on the line. How could you call that intentional? And Keenan's totally upset with that, and rightfully so. I think get carried away with this rule.
The broadcast rights to this game have been granted to Sports Channel and WBBM Radio solely for the entertainment of our audience. Any reproduction or other use of this game without the consent of Sports Channel and BBM is prohibited. For those of you tuned in on Sports Channel Chicago who would like to see some spectacular goaltending, this game is going to be replayed in its entirety, so you'll see that first period if you missed it on Sports Channel Plus. Be replayed, I guess, not long after we're done here. But Belfour was just unbelievable in the opening period here tonight, and he's a big part of the reason, the biggest reason, the Hawks are ahead 1-0. Here's Smith, who also had an excellent first. He gave it away though. Richard Sutter to his backhand shoot. Belfour shut the door. Rebound Goulet clears it ahead. Larmer got tackled by Cavallini trying to chase after it, but Zombo to play it for St. Louis. He got a rough ride from Roenick, but managed to clear it to center ice, and the Hawks dump it back in there. Paul Cavallini stands behind the net. Now gave it to Dave Christian, trickling it out to center, and Smith shoots it right back in there. Joseph wings it around the boards, held in by Noonan, but it bounced away to Basson. Bob Basson carries it over the Hawk line, leaving for Rich Sutter. He centered it. Cavallini shoots, and he shot it wide. Now Michel Goulet the other way. As Noonan on the move, he gets it over the line, but got wrapped up at the defense as Christian locked him up. Here's Noonan keeping it in. Near corner to Hudson. Mike Hudson rings it around to the far side, and Emerson collides with Noonan. Ryan Noonan jamming it loose, but right to Paul Cavallini. And the Blues try to start away, then Cavallini just flips it down into the Hawk zone. Belfour clearing it ahead. Here's Noonan over the line. Centered one, Vincelette looking for Hudson, but the pass was behind him, and Shanahan on the counterattack. Brendan Shanahan steps to the line, leaves it, then the pass deflects into the corner, and Conroy and Shanahan come together there. They wrestle along the boards, and Vincelette came up with it to Brent Sutter. He dumps it in, and it took a funny hop off the glass and winds up in the crowd. 3 minutes gone by in the second period at Chicago 1, St. Louis nothing.
Blackhawks have the lone goal of the game, and it came at 11:30 of the first period. Goulet took the hit from Butcher, but Butcher gets caught. Larmer picks it up. Conroy breaking down the left side goes to the net. Larmer had options to either pass or shoot, and he elected to shoot, and it paid off.
Chris Chelios shoots it in. There's going to be a penalty. Good call off the puck. Greg Gilbert was going to get to that puck in the far corner. He was locked up along the boards and yanked to the ice. And the Blues will get an interference penalty. And Brad Hall, I believe, is the culprit. Or is it Lowry? But at any rate, the Blackhawks head to the power play. And they'll try to increase a 1-0 lead.
At 3:17, and the Blackhawks get their second power play of the night.
Steve Smith on the near board to Larmer. Deep slot Chelios. Far circle Goulet centered it, deflecting through to the near side. Larmer has it there to Smith at the line. Long flip shot gathered in by Roenick, looking for Larmer. Nice play by Paul Cavallini to steal, and he clears it.
Well, Roenick was knocked down from behind. No penalty called. Chelios was whistled off for less of an infraction that gave the Blues a 2-man advantage.
Here's Chelios. Pounds it in there. Goulet gets to it in the near corner. Tied up though, and Larmer dug it out to Smith. Far point to Chelios. Moves in, shooting. Joseph just had it hit him. He didn't seem to see it till the last second through a maze. Now Chelios along the far board, digs it out to Larmer. Shooting. And he was hoping for a Goulet tip, but didn't get it. Into the far circle goes Roenick. He put it to the side of that Goulet centering, and it didn't connect with Larmer. Now at the near point is Smith. Up the boards to Roenick, whose pass deflects, and Ron Sutter clears it. 45 seconds for the Chicago power play. Here's Chelios with room to center. Takes a long shot. He was hoping to catch Joseph out of the net, but he didn't vacate. In behind it goes. And Norwood jammed it out. Noonan chases after with Lowry. And the puck came loose to Lemieux. Looking for Kuchera. Up the boards now is Noonan. Into the corner and Hudson. Mike Hudson's pass deflecting. Noonan came up with it along the boards. Lost the handle to Basson. Basson goes down. A penalty is going to be called against the Hawks. Now the Blues trying to play keep away in their own zone. But a steal is made by Kuchera, and the whistle sounds. Just as the Blues penalty expires, there's going to be a Chicago penalty.
The Blackhawks' second power play, Mike Hudson gets whistled off for hooking Basson. Hudson just put the stick into Basson, and he got him in the back of the leg, and down went Basson, and a right call by Hogarth. A bad penalty taken by Hudson in the offensive zone. And the Blues once again go back to the power play. This will be their 5th of the night. They're 0 for 4. The Hawks with a 1-0 lead.
There's the draw. Deep into the St. Louis zone goes Adam Oates, leading the league with 40 assists. Oates having trouble coming out with it, and then Hull there to help. Now Paul Cavallini. Weaving, then cleared it ahead. The pass was behind Brendan Shanahan. It comes to Belfour, but he couldn't get it out. Back of the Hawk net it goes. Kuchera giving chase. Gets to it on the near side. Clearing. Paul Cavallini puts it over the Hawk line. Mongeau along the boards. Took a bump from Gilbert. Now dug out to Oates, who takes a look for Mongeau. Right and shoots. He scores! Michel Mongeau made a great shot after an excellent pass from Adam Oates, maybe the premier playmaker in the league. And Mongeau fired it by the glove off the post and in. We're tied at 1.
If you overplay on Adam Oates, you're going to get in trouble. They went to him. Larmer just barely picked off the cross-ice pass, but Oates faked the shot, slipped it to Mongeau. Mongeau, perfect shot just under the crossbar. Belfour, no chance on it. Off the post and in to tie the game on the power play. Mongeau is a tricky little player. That only his second goal in 19 games.
Mongeau had a terrific season in the International League in Peoria with 106 points. Last year in 73 games, he had 41 goals, 65 assists in Peoria. And he gets the equalizer here to make it 1-1. Chelios works it to the line, feeding for Brent Sutter, shooting. He had Joseph leaning the wrong way, but just missed the far post by about 6 inches. And all the way back to his own end is Kuchera. Kuchera chips it ahead to Brent Sutter. Barron standing him up. And now the Hawks are ruled offside on the play.
Well, just a matter of time, and Blues on their 5th power play with all their snipers eventually going to get burned, and the bad penalty results in a tying goal. Mongeau from Oates and Cavallini, I believe, at 6:08. Adam Oates, just a great playmaker. Gets the puck at the point, fakes the shot, draws the traffic, slips it over to Mongeau, and Mongeau with a great wrist shot.
So the face-off outside the St. Louis line. And the draw is taken by Kuchera, who tees up a long one. Save made by Joseph to Jeff Brown. Brings it around the boards all the way back into Chicago ice. Chelios. Run over by Ron Sutter, but he managed to get it to Hudson. Hudson cleared it for Lemieux. Scooping into the Blues zone. Joseph put it to the near side, and Ron Sutter. Around the boards again, and Lemieux there to pick it off. Put it to the line. Chelios into the near corner. Hudson centered it, missing Noonan, but Kuchera had it, then lost it. And Emerson the other way. Good poke check, though, by Kuchera, preventing a pass. And the Hawks clear it to the Blues line. Rush broken up there, and now the Blues. Ron Sutter over the line to Lowry, trying to center it. Fell down as he attempted the pass, and the Hawks able to steal it. Here comes Lemieux back. Up the right side, Lemieux got run over by Zombo. There's going to be a penalty. Lemieux was starting to fall to the ice when Zombo came in as the second man to crunch him along the boards, and the Blackhawks will go to the power play. 12 minutes remaining in the middle period. Chicago 1, St. Louis
tonight.
Brown, deep slot to Smith. He put it to Roenick, whose one-timer is gloved by Joseph. The puck was fluttering a bit when it came to Roenick. He attempted a one-timer, but just kind of fluttered into the air, and Joseph gloved it without much problem.
Dave Smith fakes the shot, slips it over to Roenick. He got it off the toe of the stick, and it just fluttered, but Joseph almost overplayed it. And almost went over him and into the net.
Twice in this period, Joseph has had shots that he almost overplayed. Face off to his right. And the draw to Paul Cavallini. Tied up on the boards, got help from Basson. Clearing it back into the Hog zone. Now it bounces around at center to Basson. Then he lost the handle. Paul Cavallini came up with it though. Gave it to Garth Butcher, who clears.
Basson just knocked Roenick over as he tried to get to a loose puck right in front of Hogarth, but no call.
Hawks attempt to dump in, and it's picked off by Lowry, who clears. And there's a minute left on the Chicago power play. Chris Chelios dumping it in there. Joseph dumps it out. Curtis Joseph catches with his left hand, but he's a right-handed shot. He has to do what our radio colleague Darren Pang used to have to switch his stick if he's ever going to play the puck. But he's been very effective in his ability to do that. Now back of the Blues net. It's cleared to the near point, held in by Chelios. His long shot hit Graham in the foot. Coming to the near corner, Brent Sutter lost the handle. And Christian can't get it out of there, but Norwood picks it up and sends it to the Chicago line. Aaron pass stolen by Norwood. He clears. And this Hawk power play comes to an end without anything happening. Both teams are now back at full strength. Into the Blues zone, a bouncing puck. Cleared back to center, taken by Chelios, whose pass is picked off. Then held in by Noonan. Noonan tees it up. His shot is blocked. And Brett Hull picks it up to Oates. Adam Oates with Hull 2-on-2. They crisscross. Here's Hull over the line, moving in on Smith. Goes wide, centered it. Deflecting just too far for Emerson, or rather Gino Cavallini. Then a long shot, gloved by Belfour. And he holds on to it halfway through period 2. The Hawks and the Blues tied at 1.
Not tested that often here in the second period, but it was a story in the first period. In the second half, 21 saves. Only had 4 here in the second with 9:44 to go in the period.
This is 21st straight start, and it's been a very busy one. Here's Gino Cavallini for Hull. Or shot. He ripped it just wide. Now a long shot goes wide from Cavallini, winding up back in the St. Louis zone, and somehow Brad Hull still has the knack of finding open ice just when a teammate is ready to pass it to him. And all the Blues are always aware where number 16 is. Chris Chelios gave it to Brent Sutter at center. Sutter to the line with a long shot. Joseph lunging to his left to kick it aside. Now Gino Cavallini cleared it to Hull, who flipped it to the line. Not out. Chelios kept it in to the far corner. Chelios turning, centered it. A shot goes just wide from Gilbert. Now Larmer along the board. Flipped it around to the far corner. Chelios put it behind the net, taken by Paul Cavallini. He got knocked down by Brent Sutter, but then Oates picked it up, then gave it away. Good read by Conroy to steal it. He cuts in. He moved to his backhand, then gave it to Goulet for Sutter. He shot it over top of the net. Great play by Conroy, but the Hawks Sutter just barely missed finishing it off. And again, the Blues failed to clear it. Here's Conroy in the corner. He centered it, bouncing loose in front. Oates there. And he just flipped it back into the Hawk zone. Now Brian Noonan. His pass broken up to Norwood. And he missed Jeff Brown. That allows Goulet to step in. Flipped a long wrist shot, and Joseph stopped it easily to Norwood. Noonan stole it. Ryan Noonan in the far corner with help from Roenick. They look to jam it out of there. Now Goulet picks it up, but all 3 Hawk forwards are pinned up against the boards. Nowhere to go with it for Goulet. It's stolen by Ron Sutter, and he flips it back into the Hawk zone. The Chicago forechecking that was very effective in the first period until Chicago penalties took over the game. Now starting to, the Hawk forechecking becoming very effective here in the second of the last couple of shifts. And now here's going to be an icing call against Chicago. 7.5 to go in the second period. It's Chicago 1 and St. Louis 1.
forechecking, and most of the play was in the St. Louis zone. Then power play hockey took over for the Blues. They got momentum. They scored a power play goal this period after the Hawks failed to capitalize on their own power play. But now that even strength, the Hawks continue to forecheck and do it very well and put pressure on the Blues, and they're getting all kinds of chances, but it's still a 1-1 game. The Blackhawks have late on the road, playing a lot better, but their inability to score with their power play in critical times really hurting them. 1-1 tie in Philadelphia, the tie in New Jersey.
Now Cam Russell back of his own goal. Flips it into St. Louis territory. Hudson's going to get there with the good speed. Tees it up. Shoots Joseph 20 feet out of the net. This managed to stop the shot. He was almost caught in no man's land, Joseph, and Hudson happened to shoot it right into him.
He was almost at the dot. He was just a little bit right of the far dot in the faceoff circle. Hawks get a fortunate carom. A dump out from Russell up the middle, hit a defenseman's skate, went off the far boards. Hudson, utilizing his good speed, got to it and then tried to muscle it through Joseph. The puck caroming off Barron off the far boards. Hudson just pulls away and just cranks it up, and Joseph is inside the faceoff dot when he makes the save moving forward, and the puck just hit him.
Here's Garth Butcher standing behind the Blues net. Butcher's had over 200 penalty minutes the last 5 straight years. And the Blues just cleared into Chicago ice, taken by Chelios.
The Blues having a lot of difficulty, even when they do have possession in time, coming out of their own zone. They had 5 guys just standing there.
Now in the St. Louis end, Gilbert against Barron along the boards. Barron comes up with it and circles the net. Here come the Blues. Murray Barron gave it to Brett Hull over the line, trying to stick handily. Did around Chelios, who pulled him down. He's going to get a penalty. Then they score. The puck trickled by Chelios and trickled into the crease. Belfour just seemed to let up. He looked like he had an opportunity to freeze it. He failed to. The Blues poke it in. It's 2-1 St. Louis.
Well, Hull just undresses Chelios. He gave him that soft little move. He faked like he was going to go to his right. Looked like he had him, and all of a sudden he accelerated. Put it through his legs and accelerated through him. He looks one way, pulls it back to his right, and then slips it back and then just sort of darts by him, surprising Chelios, which would have been a penalty. And then Hull kicks into it and pries it loose, and Oates, I think, will get credit for the goal. But Hull yanked down his momentum, his skate, pried the puck loose as Belfour tried to freeze it, and Oates, I think, tucked it in. But a nice move from Hull. And they give the goal to Lowry because Lowry was the one who was there to beat Oates to it. Oates could have tucked it in as well, but Lowry will get credit for it. But Brett Hull's nifty move to get around Chelios makes it a 2-1 St. Louis game at 13:36. He just lulls you to sleep. He slowed up at the line. You think he's going to shoot or dump it in. You go for the puck. He snips it through your legs. He darts in, and bang, it's in the net.
Now the play in the Blues zone. It's Steve Smith with a long shot that's deflected in front and cleared to center. Rich Sutter trying to clear it, but the offside whistle sounds against the Hawks. 6 minutes to go in the second period. It's St. Louis 2, Chicago
down. Belfour fails to poke it away. It's whacked at by Lowry, and Lowry beats Belfour to it, but the momentum of Hull, I think, pried the puck loose. Belfour took a chance, came out of the net to poke it away. He missed it after Chelios was beaten, and bang, Lowry makes him pay.
In the first period, Stu Grimson and Kelly Chase had quite a bout. They're now on the ice together, and Ron Hogarth has just gone over before this faceoff to have a word with the two of them. He's obviously going to be keeping a close eye on that pair. Face off in the neutral zone, and the draw is taken by Kuchera. He moves in, but the play is offside.
Over 100 minutes and penalties for Chase, and I think he's played 19 games.
19 games, no goals, no assists, 107 penalty minutes coming into the game.
Final score, Pittsburgh with 2 unconverted touchdowns. Toronto 1. Toronto with the Rouge. 12-1 Pittsburgh.
12-12. The Capitals are no longer going to be the highest scoring team of the league. Pittsburgh has been catching up to them consistently in the last couple of weeks as the Penguins offense has been unstoppable nearly. 4 goals for Joe Mullen. Here's the St. Louis steal. They couldn't pull the trigger though. Joe Mullen has 4 goals. 22, 23, 24, 25 goals for Mullen so far this year. A lot of people wondered how much he had left on that team. He's got a lot left. Rick Zombo deep in his own end. Leads the charge to center. Scoops it in there. Well, 4 around the boards to Dirk Graham. Cavallini tied him up. The Blues keep it in. Now Chelios. Gave it to Stu Grimson for Graham at center. Graham to the line. Rolled it past Butcher, but then it's cleared to the far corner. 4 players dueling along the board. Now Graham crashing in there. He draws the attention of the St. Louis players. And the linesman trying to keep the peace.
Brent Sutter had a stick held from the hash marks all the way to the far boards with an opportunity to get to a loose puck. Tough to play hockey when somebody's got to hold your blade. But the Blues are getting away with it once again. The power play discrepancy 5-3 St. Louis, but Hawks power play really has hurt them tonight. When any chance when a 1-0 lead, they didn't capitalize on their power play. Then in a 1-1 game, they didn't capitalize. Butcher's got a hold of Sutter's stick for most of this shift, and then Cavallini and Graham get involved. His stick is held from the dot all the way to the boards. Sutter's got no chance at all, but Butcher gets away with it, and the faceoff now will go into the neutral zone.
4.5 to go in the second period. 2-1 in favor of the Blues, who have goals from Mongeau and Lowry in this period, after Larmer scored the only first period goal. Now Barron deep in his own end. Gave it to Butcher, coughed it up. Here's Roenick. Big save by Joseph. Michel Goulet forced a giveaway. Now Larmer, the goal pushed off the moorings, and there's going to be a penalty. Let's see Ron Hogarth emphatically whistling a penalty. I think he might have pointed at Butcher, who just pushed that net off. Larmer, with all sorts of traffic, was ready to pull the trigger, and Butcher just took the net, pushed it off the moorings.
Roenick with a steal. Great save from Joseph. They're unable to freeze the puck. Barron to Butcher. Butcher off Goulet to Roenick. Roenick beaten by Joseph. The puck squirts loose because Roenick just keeps hacking at it. It comes out to Steve Larmer, and as he's ready to pull the trigger, the Blues knock the net off intentionally, and it results in a penalty. The Blackhawks with their 3rd power play of the period, but what a tremendous save from Curtis Joseph on Jeremy Roenick. Roenick even got his own rebound, and then the puck squirted loose to Larmer, and Larmer let it go, and then Butcher knew what he was doing. He pushed Goulet right into the net, which forced the net to dislodge. The Blackhawks need to get their power play on track here. This is their 3rd power play of the period, 4th of the night. They're 0 for 3. And the 2 power plays they've had in this period, when they've had chances to put it away, have been very ineffective.
Here's the draw. Over to the far side, Lowry. Got a rough ride from Roenick. And the Hawks able to keep it in, but then it came loose to Paul Cavallini. Cavallini trying to waste a little time. He did, and then cleared it into the Hog zone.
Nice quick spin move by Cavallini to get away from Larmer, and Larmer fell into the boards.
Jeremy Roenick got away from Basson. Flipped it to Larmer. Back to Roenick over the line. Basson's all over him, but Roenick turns along the boards, gets knocked down. And the puck comes free to Zombo. Around to Paul Cavallini. He couldn't get it by Smith. Now Larmer in the corner. To Smith at the near point. Back pass to Larmer, who has time to take a look. Tries to center it, deflects to Chelios far point. Deep slot to Smith. Takes a look, lets it go. It deflects right to Larmer. Couldn't pull the trigger. Now he was going to wrap it around, but couldn't get to the far post. Larmer has it to the line, and Chelios. Chelios moves it back to Larmer, top of the ring. Side of the net for Sutter, whose pass is picked off by Basson, and he cleared it.
Once again, the Hawks are unable to put anybody in the slot, and they have to make too long a pass, and it's picked off.
Chelios back over the line. Clears it behind the net. Joseph sweeps it to the near side. Smith keeping it in to Hudson in the corner, leaving it for Goulet. Back of the goal to Hudson. Hudson tied up by Ron Sutter. Now Jeff Brown poked it loose to Paul Cavallini. He's got time and couldn't get it by Chelios. Kicking it to Goulet. He cuts in there. Couldn't pull the trigger. He got surrounded. And it's taken away by Jeff Brown, who clears it. And right out of the box comes Butcher, but it's a two-line pass as that puck originated inside the Blues line. So the penalty is over, and both teams are back at full strength. And the Hawk power play, much more often than not this year, has been a detriment in key situations.
Especially on the road. They played well enough in this game to have the lead. They had a 1-0 lead, and a power play didn't do anything on it. The Blues get a power play right after the Hawks fail to capitalize on theirs. They tie it up. That was a big momentum change. Instead of it being 2-0 Chicago, it's 1-1. And then Lowry's goal at 13:36 after two failed Hawk power plays, and it's a 2-1 Blues lead.
Against the Blues, what are the Hawks tonight? 0 for 4. They're 3 out of 24 against St. Louis in the 5 games played. Now deep in the St. Louis zone, Murray Barron put it around the boards. Hall chopped at it, couldn't get it out. Graham back of the net to Lemieux, and Butcher picked his pocket, then gave it away to Gilbert for Lemieux. He ripped it just wide of the far post. Off a nice steal and set up by Gilbert. Lemieux has it again on the near side. Threw it across to Kuchera. His shot well high and wide. Coming to the near corner. Cleared behind the goal. Butcher tries the near side. Gilbert kicks it loose on the boards, but Shanahan got to it to Butcher. Garth Butcher dumped it into the Hog zone. Going to chase it himself. Kuchera tied him up on the end boards, then Hall dug it out. To Shanahan, a long shot is blocked and winds up back in the St. Louis end. 1:15 left in the period. 2-1 Blues is Norwood. There's it to Adam Oates. Chelios stole his pass. And now Noonan had his feet broken up. Shanahan got it to Oates. Good poke check by Chelios at center. Feeding Vincelette over the line, but Brent Sutter had lost his stick. And going to retrieve it, he didn't see Vincelette on the other side of the ice, was wide open, and Sutter winds up being called offside.
The Blackhawks drew over 18,000 on Sunday. The Blues returned the same type of crowd, over 18,000 here at the arena. What a great rivalry this has turned into over the last few years and throughout the existence of the Blues.
Blues now have gone over the 300,000 mark in attendance for the season. And a face-off outside the St. Louis line. Here's the draw. Dumped in behind Joseph. Jeff Brown rings it around the boards. Ron Sutter. Now Chelios takes it away for Chicago. And then a Ron Sutter steal, rolling it deep into the Hawk zone. Belfour to the corner. He took a run at Sutter. Came loose in front. And Chelios is there to gather it in. Belfour looked like he initiated that contact in the corner. Here's Chelios back over the line. Lifted in front. Tipped just wide by Hudson, who then centered. It didn't get through. Hudson has it again in behind. Walks in front, the wraparound. And a save by Joseph. Rebound, Jeff Brown clears it back into the Hog zone. And Chelios gets back to center, but he'll run out of time as the second period comes to an end. A late flurry from the Hawks, held off by Joseph. And the Blues take a lead into the second intermission. The Blues scoring 2 unanswered goals in that period. Michel Mongeau on the power play with a terrific feed from Adam Oates, assisted also by Paul Cavallini at 6:08.
The opposition, they've been outshot by most teams all season long, but the third period, they've turned everything around. They've had a solid third period most of the year.
So here we go with the third, and the draw is controlled by Zombo deep in his own end. Rick Zombo to Paul Cavallini, trying to clear it. Chelios picked it out of midair to Brent Sutter. Now Graham. Graham tied up along the boards, and Zombo with a big hit, able to jam it out of there. Gave it to Brett Hull, circling in his own end. He banks it to center ice, taken there by Chelios for Greg Gilbert, who throws it back into the Blues zone. Here's Paul Cavallini. He feeds Zombo on the near side. Back to Cavallini. And again, the Blues fail to clear it. Here's Graham. He got run over. What a hit delivered by Zombo, who's hit Graham twice big on this shift. But here's Hudson cutting in. Shoots! And a save by Joseph. Rebound behind the net and fallen on by Hudson. And the whistle sounds. And the Hawk forechecking has been very prominent tonight so far. Not a goal to show for it. But if they keep up at this pace, they're going to have a great opportunity to win this game.
Forechecking creates turnovers, and that's the story here early in the third period. A turnover at the inside the line. Eric Graham gets hit. He pays the price by Zombo, but Hudson able to pry it loose. It's been a tough night for Graham. He's been hit a couple of times and hurt. But the Blues cough it up. Chelios to Hudson, the backhand attempt, and Joseph makes the save. They changed the second Blues goal. They give it to Brett Hull, his 35th from Oates and Barron at 13:36. Looked like Lowry put it in, but
they must have ruled that it crossed the line before Lowry touched it. But whatever, that gives Brett Hull his 35th goal of the year in 36 games. Now deep in the Blue zone again. Hudson behind the goal. Centers a shot, is blocked. The goal nearly off the moorings, and it landed back where it should have been, so the play goes on. And the Blues will take an icing call here, and a very good start for the Blackhawks in this third period. 2 straight shifts played entirely in the St. Louis end of the ice.
Steve Smith reading the play, pinched in from the blue line, went right into the crease. The Blackhawks at even strength have been dominant, but the power play, as we said, we've touched on it and harped on it, but that's the story of tonight's action. And the Blues have made the best of their chances here in the second period to take a 2-1 lead.
Face off to the right of Curtis Joseph. Now ready. And the draw to the near point. Russell wings it around the board. Dave Christian and Kuchera lock up on the far side. Kick loose to Roenick, looking for Goulet. Didn't get there, and Barron unable to get away from Roenick. Put it in behind the net. Goulet got a rough ride there from Basson. Puck into the far corner. Larmer came up with it. Steve Larmer wrestles it loose to Goulet. Back to the line, Kuchera. His long wrist shot stopped by Joseph. Rebound to the far corner. Goulet put it in behind the net. Butcher there for St. Louis. Garth Butcher, the Blues captain. Couldn't get it past Larmer. And now finally the Blues able to work it to center ice. Bob Basson into the Hog zone. Got turned around by Russell. Larmer the other way. Steve Larmer to the line, faking. Moves it on Barron to his backhand. Shoot! And Barron able to deflect it wide with a poke check at the last second. Now Oates feathers it ahead for Rich Sutter. He's tied up by Conroy, then got away from him. Clearing it over the Hawk line. Oates on the far side has no help. Dancing into the corner, but Chelios locked him up there, and Lemieux took it away, was yanked down, and the play goes on, but here comes Steve Conroy out with it. Conroy dumping it into the St. Louis zone. Joseph fires it around to the near side. Conroy keeps it in. Just for a moment, though, as it's cleared ahead. Hull has a break. Steps over shoots. Belfour, rebound. Belfour, he stopped Lowry on the rebound as well. And in behind the goal, Peluso. Trying to clear it and got it to Lemieux out to center. Lemieux gets it deep into the Blues zone. Brett Hull narrowly missing his 36th of the year on a great stop from Belfour. And here's Hull again. He got to the line, but his pass stolen by Brent Sutter, who cleared it. Not out, it hit the linesman. And then Steve Smith able to come up with it for Chicago. Clearing it into the Blues zone. Jeff Brown back. Brown on the far side, coughed it up to Graham. Graham looking for Gilbert. He couldn't find him. Graham leaves it for Brent Sutter. Sutter along the far side against Oates. They work the boards. Graham lurking, trying to dig it out. He did to Smith. He centered it, Gilbert. And he was poke checked by Joseph. Great play by Curtis Joseph to thwart a scoring chance. Now Paul Cavallini. Got it to Brendan Shanahan. And the Blues going the wrong way. Now they just fire it to the Hawk line. Keith Brown put it back the other way. Jeff Brown for St. Louis. Able to clear it to center, and Brendan Shanahan up the left side. Steps over the Hawk line, centered it, deflecting to Emerson, put it in front. Just missing Ron Sutter, and the Hawks try to counter. Hudson rolled it ahead. Noonan, 2-on-1 over the line, cuts in there. Knocked down by Emerson from behind. And the play goes on, and then they fall on top of the puck in behind the Blues net. 5 minutes gone in the third period. St. Louis 2, Chicago 1.
Gee, sounds awful, Bob.
It's no day at the beach, Steve. Sore throat, cough.
Fry one of...
First bounce, picks it up at the red line and sneaks in behind everyone. Goes one-on-one with Belfour. He's had some quality chances. Hull tries to go through the middle, but Belfour shut the door, and then he makes a good save on the rebound attempt from Lowry. At the other end, Joseph made a brilliant save. Meanwhile, prior to the save he made on Gilbert, Emerson yanks down Noonan. Boy, Hogarth has looked the other way more often than not when it comes to calling penalties against the Blues, but Emerson pulled down Noonan on a partial break. Well, what a save Joseph made, as we said, on Gilbert on a feed from Steve Smith.
Face off to the left to Joseph. In the last 20 St. Louis games, Joseph has started 17 of them. And he is looking like he's going to be their main man all season long. Pat Jablonski's hurt now, but he's going to have to go a long way to beat out Joseph, who's just played exceedingly well. Now it's center Chelios. Giving ground in his own end. Gave it to Conroy. Steve Conroy dumps it in, banks it perfectly to Larmer in the far corner, dances away from Barron, centered it. Van Goulet was yanked to the ice, but the puck didn't get to him. And it's shot behind the St. Louis goal, taken by Butcher. Garth Butcher for Bob Basson. He ran right into Roenick, then Butcher got it to center. Roenick stole it, clearing it back to St. Louis ice. Murray Barron to Richard Sutter, backing it down into Chicago territory, taken by Steve Smith. And the Hawks pound it back into the St. Louis zone. Jeff Brown dumped it out. Steve Smith will dump it in, and look out in the crowd as that deflects up over the glass and into the seats. 6 minutes gone in the third period.
And forechecking. Sooner or later going to get a break offensively and tie it up.
Ron and Brent Sutter get ready for the draw. And Brent wins this one to Keith Brown, shooting it in there. And got too much of it. It deflected up into the seats.
Brown has missed the last few games because of a groin injury. He's been in and out of the lineup because of that same groin. 14 minutes left here in the third period, a long way from over Pittsburgh. 12 goals against Toronto. Boston beats Hartford 3-2. Montreal continues to play well. They beat Quebec 4-1. New Jersey had a 4-2 lead against the Islanders. Now it's 5-5, or 5-5 final, I should say. as the Islanders battle back, and the Rangers trailed 6-1, and they come back to beat Washington 8-6. What a great comeback by the Rangers.
Absolutely. Boy, oh boy. 6-1 is exactly right. I think that was in the first period they were down 6-1, and they score 7 unanswered goals. Huge win for Roger Nielsen and the Rangers, who are now 12 games over 500, and they tie the Capitals for first place in the Patriot Division, and that game was in Washington.
The Rangers scored with 1/10 of a second to go in the first period to make it 6-2, and they just kept coming back.
Two to one here in favor of the Blues as Keith Brown shoots it in there. Jeff Brown works his way to center, cranks a long shot that hit Smith on the way. Now bouncing at center to Steve Larmer. His long feed deflected by Jeff Brown. Dumps it into the Hawk zone. Brett Hull on the far side. Got it to Shanahan. Cutting and shoots. Belfort. Good save. Rebound taken by Larmer. Larmer works his way to center. Feeding Roenick over the line. Trying to split the defense. Nothing doing. Into the corner goes Larmer. Poked it to the side of the net. Then it came right back to Larmer. Larmer centered it. Zombo stealing. There's going to be a penalty coming up against the Blues as Paul Cavallini for the longest time had a hold of Steve Smith's stick. He got away with that. Then as the players separated, Smith gave him a shove and Cavallini whacked him. He's going to get a penalty. The Blackhawks go to the power play and they need to cash in, trailing 2-1.
Smith for the longest time. He had a hold of his stick, I should say, and then when he finally let go, Smith gave him a shove and he retaliated, giving him a slash. So he should have gotten a penalty for holding. He got away with that one and then slashed Smith. Smith faked like he was going to cross-check him. Cavallini retaliated, and he gets caught, and he goes to the penalty box. And the Blackhawks, with their 5th power play of the night, 0 for 4, and really no scoring chances to speak of on their 4 previous power play.
3 for 24 all year against the Blues. Here's Roenick trying to advance it to himself, and he almost got to that, but Joseph alertly pounced on it.
It was a smart play by Roenick. Everyone anticipating that he might try and pull it back for a shot. He slipped it ahead. If he gets to it, he had a great scoring chance, but it just eluded him and snuck into the crease, and Joseph beat him to it.
Now ready to the left of Curtis Joseph. And not anymore. Roenick tossed out of the draw. So Larmer will come in against Ron Sutter. Here's the face-off to the line. Steve Smith with a little room. Tees it up. His shot is blocked. And up into the air. Joseph reaching over the back of the net, acrobatically gloving it and stopping the play.
Looked like Kirby Puckett there going up the wall to try and catch one to rob someone of a home run. The Smith shot partly deflected up off the shaft, up in the air. And Joseph hops up over the net and pulls one out of the bleachers.
Well, we mentioned that Pittsburgh score. How did number 66 do tonight?
He only had 2 goals and 5 assists. How about Stevens? Scott Stevens had 2 goals and 4 assists. Mullen had the hat trick. Jagger had 2 goals. 29 goals for Stevens now. I think Lemieux has 26, and Mullen has 25.
Face off to the right of Joseph. And the draw to the Blues, Norwood clearing. Chris Chelios sends Larmer to center ice. He dumps it in. Roenick racing after it. Got tied up. Then Larmer held it into Chelios. For Larmer on the board. Threw it across to Keith Brown. Shooting. And a save by Joseph. Rebound Rich Sutter. Bumped in the corner. He wants to whistle if he can get it. Hawks look to jam it out. They do. Larmer then got help from Roenick. Out to the line, Brown across to Chelios, whiffed on the one-timer. Into the corner it goes. And Goulet digs it out behind the net to Larmer. Steve Larmer to the line. Pete Brown into the deep slot, scoops it back to Larmer, faking, takes a look, shoots it. It's blocked by Norwood to Sutter, who clears. Keith Brown chips it back into the Blues zone. Dave Lowry after it. Brent Sutter rubbed him off on the boards. They wrestle behind the St. Louis goal. Vincelette trying to jam it out. All three Hawk forwards standing next to one another again. Vincelette now coming up with it. Leaves it for Noonan. He got locked up in traffic. The Blues steal and clear. One more rush on the Hawk power play. And Adam Oates with a steal, feeding Christian. Christian unable to capture it at the Hawk line. Smith does to Chelios. Carries it into the Blues zone, faking. Now dropped it back to Vincelette. He mishandled it. Offside is the call as the St. Louis penalty expires. Once again, the Hawk power play spinning its wheel.
Advantage, a little better action on this last power play, but Curtis Joseph able to shut the door. 11 minutes still to go. Blackhawks down by a goal, 2-1 St. Louis lead. 2 goals for the Blues in the second period.
Now in the Blues zone, here's Graham. He cuts for the net, takes a look, shoots one, and a save by Joseph. Graham put it out to the line, taken by Smith. Across, picked off nearly by Hull, then Kuchera got to it. His shot goes wide. Over to the far side, Christian. Bumped along the boards, and Barron dug it out of there. Gave it to Butcher for Hull on the right wing side, and Kuchera had him well covered. Now along the near side, they wrestle it loose to the line. Smith with a long shot. Joseph the save through a screen, and then he stopped the Graham stuff attempt. And Curtis Joseph continues to excel in the St. Louis net.
Hawks getting better chances at even strength than they do on their power play. Good pinch in that time by Kuchera along the boards to surprise Brett Hull to force the turnover. The puck came back to his defense mate Smith in traffic. Joseph trying to look to his right, and the puck hit him to his left. That's the kind of weak or back-to-back performance he's had against the Blackhawks. He's looking right, the puck hit him to his left, and then he makes the save on Dirk Graham. Puck squirts loose, and Graham shoots it right into him. Not much he could do, though, because his stick was tied up by Christian, but Joseph with another key save.
Face off to the right of Curtis Joseph. Almost to the halfway point of the third period, 2-1 in favor of the Blues. Here's the draw to Jeff Brown, back of the net. He scoops it back into Chicago ice. The race is on. Conroy will have to play it. It's a big hit from Kelly Chase. Now Peluso in on him. Then the puck played by Conroy. Now Chase and Peluso square off. Then they back away, and the play continues as Lemieux shot at the center. Here's a wide open Peluso stepping over the line, and Conroy jumped offside. Now Chase and Peluso have words, and Pateman and Shakti with excellent recognition there get in between, preventing any altercation.
The rare shift for Peluso. Chase with a good hit on Conroy, who catches him with his head down, pins him. Peluso knocks Chase flying. Conroy gives Chase a bit of a shove, gets the puck, and then he's upended from behind, but Hogarth's paying attention to Chase, and Peluso doesn't see the infraction behind the Hawk net. They back off, and then Peluso realizes he has a chance offensively with a loose puck, and Conroy cut up with the play, but was over aggressive in his attempt, and was offside ahead of Peluso.
Now we are halfway through the third, 2-1 in favor of the Blues, and Paul Cavallini chips it into the Chicago end. Belfour fires it out to center, taken by Zombo. And then a pass off a stick and into the crowd. Midway through period 3, St. Louis 2 and Chicago 1. With Dale Talon, Pat Foley in where are we? St. Louis Arena.
The North Pole. Looking for bargains.
Bringing ties back. Here's Chelios now to center. He dumps it in. Back of the goal, centering pass, Roenick, and he shot one just off the side of the net. Rebound to Zombo, and the Blues clear it to center ice. Larmer dumping it in. Who says Brett Hull never goes to his own end defensively? He's behind the Blues net. Bouncing it out to center ice, and Lowry. Lowry steps to the line, and Kuchera took it away but went down. Couldn't get it past Ron Sutter, who shoots, and a save by Belfour. Rebound into the near corner. Taken there by Ron Sutter. He's tied up, and Goulet able to slide it to center ice. Paul Cavallini back to the line, gave it right to Smith. And he got a rough ride, then Hogarth hit the deck. But Hoagie bouncing right back up to try to get back in the play, which is still in front of him in the Hog zone. And Vince Alette cleared it to the St. Louis line. Now Brett Hull into the Chicago zone, a wrist shot, and it deflected just over top of the net. Rebounding to the near board, and Noonan got away from Oates. Noonan steps to the line, lost the handle. It results in an offside call against Chicago. And the Blues continue to lead it here.
Hit him right in the noggin. I saw him on the plane today coming into St. Louis. I asked him if he had any stitches. He said no, the puck was a mess.
One thing about Hoagie, he's got a great sense of humor, as you probably would have to have in this job.
But I don't understand why he doesn't wear a helmet.
The recently svelte Ron Hogarth. Lost a lot of weight the last couple of years, or else he's tightened his girdle. Here's the centering pass. Comes through to the near side. The Blues hold it in. Oates put it in front. It's picked off, and Graham gave it right back to Oates. Oates on the near side, got turned around by Hudson, who jammed it loose but not out. Oates held it in, takes a look, centered it. Here's a shot, and a save by Belfour on Emerson. Rebound back to center. Graham got away from check. 3-on-2 for the Hawks. Graham over the line, faking, got spun around as he tried to make a spinorama move, and Garth Butcher knocked him to the ice with a good hit. And that's not usually Graham's game, trying to be fancy. He did there, and the Hawks never did get a scoring chance, and now it's back the other way, and Belfour holds it at the side of the net.
Well, Gilbert was wide open. He should have moved the puck to Gilbert. He tried an unbelievable move, and Butcher wouldn't go for it, and it broke up a good chance, and the Blues countered. Meanwhile, Emerson nearly made it a 3-1 lead. Belfour with a good save. Barron, bad choice, didn't get the body or the puck. Graham gets away from, tries to fake and spin, but Butcher made a good defensive play. .720 left here in the third. The Blues clinging to a 2-1 lead.
Steve Larmer scored in the first period for the Hawks. Michel Mongeau and Brett Hull scored in the second period for the Blues. Face off to the right of Belfour. Here's the draw. Basson tried to advance it and shoot it right in, but it sailed wide and winds up back at center ice. Jeremy Roenick gets the line, goes wide on Cavallini, dropped it back to Keith Brown, who lets it go and shot it wide, and Paul Cavallini couldn't get it out.
Brown shot that intentionally wide off the end boards because he had someone in his shooting lane.
And the Blues clear it to center. Conroy tied up there. Christian carried it over the line and flipped it behind the goal. Jeremy Roenick gave it to Stu Grimson. Lost it at center to Zombo. Or Paul Cavallini dumping it ahead. Now Grimson on the left wing boards. Cleared it ahead to Lemieux. One man back is Norwood. Lemieux in on him. Unable to pull the trigger. And Lowry, good run over by Peluso in the corner. And Ron Sutter gave Peluso a whack. They exchanged stick work, and well, the whistle sounds as the puck was held. And a penalty, two penalties are coming up to Sutter and Peluso.
They're slashing each other.
In the neutral zone, Murray Barron. That is pass to Fleck to Kuchera. Dumps it into the St. Louis zone. Joseph scoops it into the corner. Lemieux tied up along the boards by Barron. Big scrum over there, and Hogarth wants him to keep it moving. Now Lemieux works it behind the net. Still nowhere to go with it, though. And now Butcher leaves it behind the Blues net. Noonan after it there. Against Barron to the corner. Noonan wound up on the deck. Puck trickling to the line. Kuchera scurried to keep it in. Put it behind the goal. Barron again. Tied up. Sutter took it away. Brent Sutter's pass picked off by Butcher. And now Brent Sutter again on the far side. Side of the net to Lemieux, trying to kick it in front. Sutter! He couldn't pull the trigger. He just trickled it to the net, where Joseph covered it up.
Well, this is pretty well the story of the night. The Blackhawks forechecking is tremendous. The Blues, though, somehow just dodge bullet after bullet, and they just continue to hang on to a 2-1 lead because Joseph is able to make the save at the right time. Excellent work by Lemieux, Noonan, and Sutter. This shift pass off his skate right back to Sutter. Sutter from a sharp angle tried to make a move, lost possession, and it almost squirted in and under. Goodall always seems to have a grin on his face.
I was just
He's always
thinking the
having
same thing.
Fun playing the game. It's great to see.
Yeah, it is great to see, and I don't suppose any of that came from his Uncle Dennis, did it?
35 goals in 36 games, and unbelievably his father criticizing him in the press, saying he wished he had his head screwed on better. I mean, 35 goals.
Well, what's the old line? If he was married to Raquel Welch, you'd expect her to cook. Face off to the left of Curtis Joseph. 5 minutes left. Here's Chelios, a long shot deflecting wide, and Emerson able to clear it back into the Chicago zone. Errant pass by Chelios, sliding the length, and Norwood will put the touch on it for an icing call. And this is the best chance the Blues have had to get play in the offensive zone, is if the Hawks ice one, because other than that has been basically down in the St. Louis end of the ice here in the third period.
Well, Minnesota continue to give Winnipeg problems. Winnipeg, I don't think they've won but one game in their last 7 or 8. They've really on the road, they've had a lot of difficulty. 3-2 Minnesota win. San Jose trailing LA 2-1. That game in the first at the Forum. Other games, the most unbelievable story of the night. The Rangers were trailing Washington 6-1 at 18:51 of the first period. Well, Grodnik scored at 19:59 of the first to make it 6-2, and the Rangers scored 6 unanswered goals to win 8-6 and tie Washington for first place overall. So a lot of goals scored by Patrick Division teams tonight, as Pittsburgh dumped the Toronto Maple Leafs 12-1.
Now the draw back into the neutral zone.
I think the Hawks would be able to come from behind with a piddly 1-goal lead by St. Louis.
Now the forechecking and board work have been there. It's a matter of finding the answer to Curtis Joseph, who was terrific the other night in the stadium, keeping it only a 3-goal Hawk win. Here's Hall with a chance, and a save by Belfour. Didn't get everything on the shot. It seemed to deflect up, and Belfour alertly with a glove held on to it.
A goal.
And we're down to just over 4 minutes left in regulation time. 2-1 in favor of the Blues. Face off to the right of Belfour, Basson and Roenick. And Basson tossed out. Now ready. And Conroy starts the Hawks ahead. He works his way to center. Steps over the line, left it for Larmer. Long slip shot, gloved by Joseph. Playing it to the near board and Rich Sutter. His pass picked off by Keith Brown. Along the near side to Roenick. Centered it. Keith Brown, a shot and a save by Joseph. Peluso the rebound. He centered it. Tip. Oh, what a save by Joseph on a Larmer deflection. A brilliant stop. Now Peluso again. In behind the net. The wraparound rolled it right through the goal crease. Larmer to the near point. Conroy, who was well covered. His pass is stolen by Basson. Bob Basson for Rich Sutter over the line. In on Peluso. Sutter got a rough ride behind the net. And at the side of the goal, Belfour covers up. And Curtis Joseph just made the save of the game for the Blues.
Good shift though for Mike Peluso. A rare shift, but he gets a nice stick-handling maneuver around the net. Moves it out front to Larmer, and Larmer tips it on. But Joseph continues his fine play against the Blackhawks. 3:21 remaining, and the Blackhawks all over the Blues in this third period, yet nothing to show for it.
Face-off will be to the left of Belfour. Don't forget the Winnipeg Jets are in tomorrow night. Jets, with their loss this evening, are now just 2 games over the 500 mark. And it'll be radio only at 7:20 tomorrow night from the stadium, the Blackhawks and the Jets. Face-off to the left of Belfour. Here's the draw right to Jeff Brown. A long wrist shot. Belfour fought it off and got enough of it to deflect it wide. And Noonan trickles it out to center ice. Blues chop it back in. Kuchera around the boards for Goulet. This pass is picked off, and now Norwood. Trying to give it to Ron Sutter. I think it got caught right in his glove. Sutter trying to jam it loose. Now a couple of players tangling on the far side. Shanahan and Goulet seeming to be getting under one another's skin.
Goulet was upended at the Blackhawk blue line in front of his own bench. And went clear across the ice as the whistle blew, with the puck being lodged in the glove of Ron Sutter. And over to have words with Hogarth and Shanahan. Hawks are better off though without a power play. The way their power play has gone tonight, they're having a lot more success at even strength than they are with the man advantage. Are 0 for 5 with the power play tonight. The Blues have 1 power play goal in 5 attempts. Blues are perfect this year protecting the lead. They're 13 wins, no losses, no ties. The Blackhawks have not come from behind once to win. But you can't fault the effort and the play of the Blackhawks. It's just they've been unable to score, especially in their last 3 road games. They've scored 1 goal in each of their last 3 road games.
And just 3 road wins all season long. This is the 18th game on the road for Chicago. Here's Chelios deep in his own end. Gave it to Smith. Now Larmer. Larmer to the line. Roenick was pushed in there offside as they were attempting to crisscross. A good play by the Blues to push Larmer or Roenick in there ahead of the play.
Rick Zombo read the play nicely. Saw that Roenick tried to cut in behind him. He just pushed him across the line, enabling the Blackhawks to penetrate and get possession inside the Blues line.
Now Sutter, Hudson, and Graham for Chicago. Oates, Hull, and Gino Cavallini for St. Louis. Now they're ready. Here's the draw. Hawks dump it in. Brent Sutter in the near corner. Jammed it loose. Smith, a long shot. Sailed up over top of the net. Then Chelios put it back into the near corner. Hudson centered one. It came to the line. Chelios, a long shot. Joseph makes the save. Rebound to the near board. Smith keeping it in there. Put it behind the net. Butcher for St. Louis. Tries the far side. It trickles back to the Hawk line. And we're down to 2 minutes remaining in the third period. 2-1 in favor of the Blues. Here's Gino Cavallini into the Hawk zone. Forgot the puck though, and Chelios takes it away. Gave it to Hudson. Right back to Chelios behind the Hawk net. He clears it to center. Jeff Brown lifted right back in there. And offside is the call as the Blues had not quite cleared the zone.
It's the first time really that the Blues have been able to frustrate the Blackhawks, not enabling them to carry the puck out of their zone and put it into the Blues territory. A minute 41 remaining. The Blues clinging to a 2-1 lead. Hawks deserving a better fate. They should not be down in this game, but yet that's not the indication on the scoreboard. The Hawks have played exceptionally well at even strength.
You can tell the Hawks have played very well, especially in this third. A sold-out St. Louis arena, normally a very loud place, and especially when the Hawks are in town. But so much of the play has been in the Blues zone. It's been a very quiet building here in the third period, even though St. Louis is clinging to a 1-goal lead. Here's Roenick trying to wind it up. He comes racing to center. Had to dump it in as the Blues were lined up across the blue line. Zambo put it to the near side. Kuchera trying to hold it in there. Got it to the corner, and then it came loose along the boards, and Masson flipped it to center ice. Larmer got to the line. He was taken off the puck there with a good open ice hit by Zambo. Back into the Hog zone it goes, and we're down to the final minute of the third period. There's Larmer on the right wing board. He flipped it into the Blues zone. Joseph scooped it to Rich Sutter. He whacked it to center. Steve Smith dumping it in. Belfour remaining in the net. He looks for a signal, doesn't get one, and the Blues flip it back into the Hog zone. This might be icing. Noonan puts the touch on it with 38 seconds remaining. And the draw back into the St. Louis end of the ice.
Having a good year, 6 assists.
He gets a chance. He might take a crack at the empty net.
Well, I don't think a goaltender will take a chance. Maybe it was a 2-goal lead. A goaltender would be more apt to take a chance, but not with a 2-1 lead. He'll be putting it around the sides.
Bob Basson and Brent Sutter to the left of Joseph. Now ready. Here's the draw. Taken by Graham. Centered it, and Joseph with a great poke check to knock it away from Roenick. Basson to center. Chelios knocked him down to prevent an open net chance. Now Noonan with half a minute left. Cleared it ahead. Good play by Butcher to knock a man off the puck. It trickles the empty net. Blues win. The Blues win with an empty net goal with 19 seconds left. And Garth Butcher with a heads-up play at center ice to stop the rush, and then it was cleared back into the open goal, and it's 3-1 St. Louis.
Well, this is pretty well the story of the first half of the year on the road for the Blackhawks. They play well enough to win. They win the draw with 38 seconds. They do exactly what they want to do. They get the puck loose. The puck into Graham. He slips it across. Roenick had a stick tied up by the defenseman. That was the complaint by Roenick after the empty netter. And then Butcher with a good defensive play, standing up in the neutral zone, cut across to prevent Roenick from carrying it in. The Blues pick it off, and the puck just has enough steam to go into the empty net, as Roenick is still arguing with Hogarth about having his stick tied up. He had a chance, a legitimate chance, on the feed from Graham. It would have been a tough one, but he had a stick.
And Ron Hogarth has had enough of the Hawk complaining here. He's pushed Chelios to get out of his face. And he wants to drop this puck and finish this game. Ron Sutter is credited with the empty netter. Butcher with the only assist in 1941. Okay, but Curtis Joseph continues to shine in the St. Louis net, and by all reports from the Blues people, that is not something new. He has been playing terrifically for St. Louis, and he continues to show us that here this evening. The Hawks dump it in, the clock winds down, and the St. Louis Blues have won 6 straight on home ice.
Well, they better pat this guy in the back because he was outstanding in the third period. Hawks with all kinds of pressure. And Joseph came up with a big performance.
Curtis Joseph records his 12th victory of the year out of the 17 Blues wins. And the empty netter at the end makes it 3-1. Ron Sutter got that empty net goal, assisted by Garth Butcher at 1941. 14 Chicago shots in the thirds and 9 for St. Louis. 37-30. The Blues outshoot the Blackhawks. Many of those, that advantage though came late in the first when the Blues had 4 straight power plays. But St. Louis ties up the season series at 2-2-1. The final tonight, 3-1 Blues. We'll wrap it up in a moment.